was like, what do we need? We've been over holiday sales. We've been over keeping motivated. And then I had 3 different consultants text me in the same week, and they were like asking for like tax stuff. And I'm like, already? Okay, maybe that's a sign that that's what I need to do on tonight. And honestly, in going over the things that I'm going to go over tonight, I was like, oh, these are some things that I want to put into place, because while I like to think that I'm organized, I'm really not. I try to look organized, but I'm not. I have a huge pile of paper that's not filed. And I'm like, okay, this is why it's on my plate to train this tonight, is because I need it the most, which seems to happen every time I train. So I'm really blessed that way. So it's a time of year to get organized for end of year and like to close out 2023 and get ready for opening 2024. So um we're mostly all people, I think, on here. I don't know how many of you are paper people. You don't have to raise your hand, but like I said, I'm not one of them. And so this is going to help you guys out, I think. All right. So you heard Denise say, the last day of the month, you want to get the mileage on your car. Whether you know how many miles you did or not, just document your mileage on your car. And then you're going to estimate what it was on January 1st if you did not do an end of year mileage last year. So for you new consultants, you might not have thought to do that. Just get it now. And then, your director can help you figure out about where you were, or like help you walk you through those pieces. There's a lot of stuff in here that will apply to brand new consultants and some that won't. So you get to kind of like piece it together. And starting January 1st, everybody who's on this call is a consultant. So you have no reason to not start with new systems and get those things in place now, so you can have a really well-organized tax year next year. Okay. All right, so let's start with so we got the mileage, and then the next biggest thing is doing your inventory count for the end of the year. And there are a lot of ways to do it. Everybody has a different way. And so, do what fits right for you. But I want to share with you, and I'm going to put this on all of the groups too, is an Excel spreadsheet that oh, it's not open. Hang on, I got to open it back up again. It's an Excel spreadsheet that will make it so much easier for you because it tallies everything. Let me close this out and then go back to Zoom. There we are. Okay. Can you guys see it okay? Okay. So this is something that there's a director in our director tips group who puts this together every year. I was taught, and I know a lot of the consultants on here who are more experienced have been taught to get an order form from Mary Kay in Touch and, handwrite it all out and fill it all out and then put it into your order on Mary Kay in Touch, and then just save it and it gives you a tally. That is great if the products aren't out of stock. And we all know that like lately things have been flowing, and sometimes they're out of stock and sometimes they're not. And so it makes it kind of difficult to piece that way together. I know many of us were trained to do it that way. So when I found this director who does this Excel spreadsheet, I was like, oh, just send it to me every year. And she has. It's 3 years in a row now that she has sent it to me. And I'm so thankful for it. So she updates it. So you're just going to go through and you're going to do a piece count of everything that you have. You do not have to separate this. You'll see that it's got normal to dry and combo oily. You can put them all under one category as long as they're the same price. The reason she does it separately is because a lot of consultants will use this to update their inventory if they're using a different kind of software. So there's some consultants who use QT Office, some that use Boulevard. And so this allows us to take an actual by item count, but you do not have to do it that way. So if you want to just, a good example of this, let me get down here to like the foundations. You can just count, I've got 25 foundations and just put a 25 right here. It does not matter if it is the same color. It's okay if all the colors can go into one. Does that make sense? I can't see everybody, but if it doesn't, just interrupt me. So you'll see here when I put in that I had 25 foundations, it just tallied it for me, the total amount of the retail. And so I love it's broken up by category. It's super easy. The way that I found to do this the best is for my assistant, whether it's a kid or a friend or whatever, to sit at the computer and tell me the category. And I just sit in my inventory and count it, and they plug the number in. It goes the fastest. It probably takes us, I have a lot of inventory. It probably takes us a half hour to 45 minutes max. So it's the most simple way I found. And then like down here, you've got these, the Color Fusion blushes. You can just do them all in one spot, or you can tab through and you can do each color, whichever you prefer. And then you'll notice down here, if you keep going to the end, everything that is up here is regular line in the winter lookbook catalog that is active right now. So everything that you see here is an active product. And then we have some special edition stuff that is still active. And then we come down to where it says limited edition. So these items, anything that is limited edition for 2023 is no longer active in the catalog. So you get to write that off on your taxes. And so you're going to tally these up separately and get a different end count for all of these, but you want to write them down. So don't write that off. If you have stuff from 2022 or 2021, you can put that in here too. I already wrote off my stuff from those previous years. So if you've done that too, you can just get what is current for 2023. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? Or about the actual physical counting? Okay, perfect. So we're going to talk a little bit. Those are the two big ones that have to be done by the end of January. Everything else, you guys know you have till April 15th. You can take your time putting it together. But I do want to talk a little bit about closing down 2023. So we're going to close it down mentally and physically and then fiscally. So there's three things we're doing. And I know next week, Denise is going to take us through some vision casting, which is really important going into the new year. That time, like I said, between Christmas and New Year, like really taking time to reflect on some things. And so I had a few questions that I wanted to just throw out there for you to maybe think about in preparation for next week's meeting, to give you a better idea. I know that for me, when someone's like, think about these things, then I leave and it's like, oh, I didn't do that. And then it's the new year. But if you have a couple weeks to prep for it, right, you can maybe think about it in the back of your mind. And then Denise's training can go deeper for you guys. So one of the questions is, what was your greatest blessing? What was the greatest thing? And I'm talking Mary Kay business here. I know a lot of times we talk about your life in general, and a lot of these trainings apply to your life in general. But for this, I really want you to focus on your business. What was the greatest blessing in your business? And what was your greatest lesson? And on the flip, what are some things that you wish you had done? And what are some things that you're glad you did do? And what am I aware of that I definitely am committed to changing in 2024? And you might not know what they are. That's okay. Let yourself brainstorm on it. Something will come to you. What story have I been? Yeah.
Could you stop and repeat? What do I wish I had done? And then what was the next?
What do I wish I had done? And what am I glad that I did do?
And then next?
And what am I aware of that I am definitely willing to commit to change in 2024?
Say it one more time.
What am I aware of that I am definitely willing to commit to change in 2024? That one's kind of wordy. I don't know why it's like that.
It's okay. You just need to say it about 3 times.
Yes. What am I aware of that I'm definitely willing to commit to change in 2024?
Thank you.
You're welcome. What story have I been telling myself that I'm now willing to give up? I'm sure Denise will talk more about this next week, but 2023 is a year of release. And she had a coaching call with me this morning and I was releasing, and it's like, oh my gosh, like this is the year to really like let things go and to be open and ready for what 2024 is going to bring us. So with that, what story have you told yourself about your business? Whether you're brand new or whether you've been in for 30, 40 years, you might have a story that you've been telling yourself over and over again that you're finally willing to let go of and really just live in the abundance of what this opportunity can bring for you. What fear have you held on to that you're now ready to bust through? 2024 is not for fear. 2024 is for bravery and courageousness and trust.
Heidi,
Yeah.
if you could just say it and then just give us a second to get it written down. Could you repeat
Okay.
that again?
Which one are you on?
What fear have I held?
What fear have you held on to that you're ready to bust through?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's all of them. That's all I got for that.
Oh, okay, thanks.
You're welcome. So really just taking a mental note for next week's training. Think about those things, brainstorm on them, and then you'll have more to work with next week. All right, so closing down 2023 physically, right? We did it mentally, and we're gonna do it physically. This might look like moving out all your old records, putting them into a pile if you haven't filed them yet, looking back through your date book and your notebooks, and then making a list of the lingering customers and bookings and possible recruiting prospects that maybe you didn't follow up with. I know when I started looking through my date book, I was like, wow, I had quite a few cancellations because of COVID or people were sick. And I really dropped the ball on following up with them. And I like to think that I have good systems in place. So, I mean, it's going to happen. So making a list of all those people before you put that date book away that you can go back through and find some prospects for. Looking through old notebooks, list and notes for any undone tasks that are still necessary to complete. Sometimes we make our 6 most important things list and some things just keep getting carried over and carried over and carried over. And this is the best time to just wrap them up and get it over with so that you can move on. Cleaning up a workspace. So file or trashing any unnecessary paper, creating virtual or physical file folders by the month, or in the file ideas. I know sometimes we get so many things that come to us and so many ideas through the trainings throughout the year, especially at seminar and when we go to the conferences, like I just get notebooks full of ideas and it's a little overwhelming to come home to. So in my notebooks, I put a great big star next to the ones that I'm like, I definitely want to implement this into my life. But that doesn't mean that it's getting implemented just because I started. So I go through my notebooks and kind of look through and be like, hey, what did I really feel strongly about that I was in either resistance to, or I just forgot about it, life got busy, and then try to use those as I go into 2024. And a good tip to that, honestly, I used to have like 50,000 journals and each one was for different things. I had one for my feelings and one for what I ate and one for prospects for recruiting, people that were warm leads that I met out and about. I had like all these different notebooks and I would use them for a few times and then I would put them aside. And so I had like a ton of notebooks that had 3 or 4 pages filled out. Or I could never find which one I was looking for. And I would be like, hey, which one has my people in it? And I'd look through them. Then I have a whole stack of them. Okay. Is anybody else like that? Like anybody? Okay. Like, okay, good. I'm glad Mary is too. So I have a no rules notebook now and I absolutely love it. So every time it gets full, I file it away and I get a new one. They can be spiral notebooks, they can be anything, but I put everything in that one notebook. It's like this ongoing journal from everything from how I'm feeling one day to a meditation I did to a dream I had. It's like all in there chronologically. And it has been the biggest saver for me this year. And I implemented that January this last year. And now that it's the end of the year, I look back at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, this was genius. And I'm so glad I did it. So I actually write on the top of it, no rules notebook, because I have to remind myself, I'm like, well, I'm a Virgo. And so I'm very like, everything's got to be organized and nice and neat. And that's why I had so many notebooks. But I'm also super unorganized, even though I'm a Virgo, which people who are into astrology will know that's really weird, but it's true. So just allow yourself to break the rules. It's a no rules notebook. You can just put in anything you want. And then you can go through. I probably fill up maybe 3 to 4. I think I did 4 this year. So, it's not that much, but go through them. And like I said, I always put a big star next to the things I'm like, okay, I have to implement this. So if you start that fresh for January, then you're going to have that for next year. Any questions about that? I don't have training notes tonight. I'm just rambling tonight. So you guys have to bear with me. Okay, so closing down physically, also going out and cleaning out your email. So I have like 450 unread emails in my email right now. I try to stay on top of it every day and I still don't stay on top of it. So taking the time to respond, to delegate and delete. Um, a good rule of thumb that I learned is that yeah, one for MK and one for everything else. I do that too, Deb. But I have in my thing, it'll let you select all inboxes. So I end up getting it all in the same thing. And I probably need to create a better system for that. But I read somewhere that you should do anything that can be done in less than 2 minutes, just do it right now. Anything that you're deleting constantly, just go in and unsubscribe. You don't need to be spending the time to delete it. Just unsubscribe. And then anything that needs to be 2 minutes or longer, then you're going to schedule a time to do that and actually put it in your book and be like, hey, this is going to take me 10 or 15 minutes to respond to. I'm going to do that today, or it's going to be out for tomorrow. But if you schedule it in your notebook, then you're going to be more likely to do it because you're going to commit to that time. Okay. Then, okay. So a couple other things for fiscally shutting down our year. So fiscally, we are doing our year-end inventory. We're taking our mileage. And then I want you to attempt to collect or settle any outstanding product trades, customer deliveries, outstanding balances. I know a lot of you guys don't have those, but sometimes we do. Sometimes we let somebody make us a couple payments on their product, or maybe we traded with another consultant and we haven't gotten that product back yet. You really want to make sure that you tie up all those loose ends before the end of the year. And then your weekly accomplishment sheets. We heard Denise talk about this. That's how you guys are getting recognized for your recognition for your sales at the end of the year. Also for January Jumpstart, but also for unit awards at the very end of the year. So make sure you go through and update those for everything this year. And then you also want to keep them up to date because you can print this report out and it gives you the number that you need for your taxes. It tells you how much you sold and how much in sales tax you recovered and how much you didn't recover and how much you gave away as hostess rewards and gifts. I know, Cambry, this might be more than you're like, what is she talking about? I know Denise said she was going to go over weekly accomplishment sheets with you. So just remember that. Okay, then we're going to, if you've been keeping your receipts, you're going to gather them all up and you're going to separate them into categories. So, we've got lots. I'm going to post the category sheet on the Future Inspired Area page and the Diamond page for you guys to look at, because there are a lot of categories that you can write off on your taxes, you guys. Everything from advertising, dry cleaning for your suit, the purchase of your red jacket when you get it, the purchase of your director's suit, the mileage on your car, like we talked about, any conference fees, career conference, seminar, all those things that you go to, the sales tax that you pay to Mary Kay, the shipping that you use to ship product to customers. So there's like a ton of different areas that you can save money in the long run by writing those off on your taxes, because it lowers your taxable income so that you're not having to pay as much at the end of the year. So the best way that I found to do this is that I make sure that I am always sent an email receipt for everything. Now they're like, you can print it, you can email it, you can do no receipt. I always do an email receipt and I always send it to my Mary Kay email address. And then I have a file on my email that I just click it and drag it and just drop it in there. And then when I feel like it, I go in and print them all. So I wait until I'm bored or don't have any customer facing things that I can do. And that's when I spend my time on that. And then when you print those out, the best way is to have like an accordion folder. They have these file folders that are like accordion style, and you can put the name of the category on each tab and drop it in there. Or you can do it by month and you can have it broke down that way. You can use manila envelopes. That if you go on to Pinterest or Google and just type in self-employment tax preparation ideas, it will pop up with 1,000 of them. So just figure out what works best for you. You might already have an idea. I had never had to worry about this before I started Mary Kay. I had never been self-employed before. And so for me, it was like trial and error. I find the best way for me is to have the monthly. So I have an accordion folder that is like January through December. And each month I just drop those receipts into each one. I do not keep my invoices, but I'm going to start to in 2024. So I have always just done like a printout of like what my total for the invoices were for the year. And I heard a tax guy say, that's great, unless you get audited. And then you've got to print out all those things. So this year going into 2024, I decided I'm just going to print two of my invoices every time I do an invoice. And one's going to go in that month and one's going to go with my customer. And that way I can just keep track of it a little bit easier at the end of the year. So at the end of each month, I will take out everything out of that accordion folder and I'll staple all of my invoices together. So I have them there. And then I file all my receipts in order of what they are. I know MJ, I know you use an Excel spreadsheet. I don't know if you want to share that, like, on the Future Inspired area page sometime. So we can copy it, but I know there's templates out there for Schedule C is what you're looking for. You can plug those numbers in monthly. I use QT Office. I know a few of you on here do. I know Kelly does. It has actually in a section that is for expenses. And so that's what I do. I just go in there and plug it into the software. I know some people use QuickBooks. So whatever works for you, keep doing that. But you want to keep your hard copies. Don't just rely on that. And so I will staple all those together and then put them into a manila envelope at the end of the year. And so it's all in one spot. Yes, MJ.
Oh, I was just going to say what my Excel spreadsheet is. I set my columns up to match what's on Schedule C, like advertising. I put everything under advertising or office expense or what have you. That's the only way mine is set up.
I like that. I just remember when
I do my taxes myself, and so then it's really easy to transfer everything. But if you're paying someone to do your taxes, if everything is already categorized, you're going to cut back on the hourly expense to that person. If you're giving them a total of all your advertising, all your office expense, all your car expense, etc.
Yes, that's such great info, MJ. And it just makes it so much easier for you at the end of the year. I do my taxes myself too. Maybe someday I'll need a CPA, but right now it's still pretty simple for me. So, yes, it cuts back on the time, especially. And the Schedule C is like MJ said, it's just so laid out. This is what you can write off. And every year it tweaks a little tiny bit. They might change it. Sometimes it doesn't change at all. So I recommend going in and printing out the most recent one to keep for that year. What else was I going to say about that? I had a thought and it's gone. Okay, maybe it'll come.
Something else and it'll come back to you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I think that is all for that section of what I wanted to talk about. I usually, when I do training, I write up what I want to say. And this time I just grabbed notes and so it throws me off a little bit. Okay, so that was all stuff I'm going to make this next part really quick because we're almost out of time already, but that was for closing out 2023, all of that. Okay. And your director, if you have questions about it, reach out to us. We're here to help you. There is also groups on, maybe I'll share the group on Facebook, but there's a guy named Tiernan. I can't remember his first name, but he does a tax. Jody Tiernan. He used to be a IRS auditor, and he works with many Mary Kay directors and nationals to do their taxes for them and consultants. But he does a tax clinic in January, and he hasn't announced the date for it yet this year. But as soon as he does, I will definitely share it with you guys. I watched it once, and it really helped me a lot. It is kind of selly, like he wants you to use his services. Please don't feel like you have to, and I'm not endorsing to go do that. It is very easy to do your taxes on your own. If I can do it, you can do it, I promise. However, he has some great tips and great ideas. And he also it's like a live webinar. So you can get questions answered. Okay. And then if it's a question for you, it's a question for somebody else. So sometimes you can just listen. It's like, oh, somebody else had that question. And then you get your answers. All right. So really quick for the next few minutes, I just want to talk about some of the systems in place for 2024. Okay. So these are generally things that we resist, and they will persist until we do them. And so it might be things to operate with focus or to have energy. It gives you energy for others and to feel a great sense of accomplishment because you're no longer just box jumping, and operating from guilt or being confused or having a lack of commitment, missing rules, deadlines, and details, right? So when you've got systems in place, you are just more energetically aligned and ready to accept whatever comes in. And this was very much so in our units. We saw Denise was a little bit resistant to doing our marketing, and she wasn't sure why, but when she did it, look what happened, you guys. We have a new system in place for when we get new consultants. We have a welcome letter we send out and a pom-pom and a pin, and we just know what that is. We're very clear on what we do when a new consultant comes in. And because of that, we have had so many new consultants join our area. It's like when we're clear on what we want and how it's going to happen, we allow it to come in. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, so there's a few questions. I'm not going to go through all of these because there's a lot of them, but there's a few that I really wanted to hit on. One of them is, do I have sufficient inventory to operate my business? I notice it's not horrible that we trade and borrow from each other sometimes. We run low on inventory and I know that we're replacing it and stuff, but really you want to make sure that you can always serve your customers from your inventory. Mary Kay used to say a $3,600 inventory was perfect for a new consultant, just to have that on their shelves and then make sure that you're replacing that, right? So just ask yourself, how much borrowing did you have to do this year? Like I said, it's not the most horrible thing, but just keep an eye on it. Do you have a separate checking account or debit credit card for your business? This is a big one. A lot of times when we're just like hobby time or small time, it's easy just to put it into our personal account and just be like, oh, I'll place an order when I have the money. I know because I was doing that for a while when I first started. It's so much more simpler when you have your own checking account for Mary Kay and you put all your money into there. And we can probably do a whole money management training in the future, because there's a lot to this. But I like to put all my ProPay, all my Zelle, all my Venmo, Cash App, all the ways my customers pay me, just put it into my account on Monday. And I never do the instant transfer because all those little tiny fees, they add up. Like when I look at the fees at the end, my end of year, I'm like, wow, I paid like $127 over the whole year just in instant transfer fees from Venmo to my account. So if you let it take 1 to 3 days to go to your account, then it doesn't cost you anything. It's free. And so you're saving all that money. And so when you have a system in place to do that, then you know what to expect. You know it's going to take a few days, and then you can pay yourself on payday. So I like to call it Money Monday. I do all my money stuff on Monday, and then by Friday, I'm paying myself. Let's see here. Some of this we talked about. Do I have business cards and labels for my products and stamps for any literature? Do you have a system in place for completing your weekly accomplishment sheet and making it a routine? So a lot of you guys have been turning them in religiously, but look at your system. Do you need an alarm put on your phone? Is it a certain day of the week? I'm going to skip some of these because we already kind of talked about them. Your weekly plan sheet. Have you been using your weekly plan sheet? I know that we preach that in every training that's around motivation and time management, but you guys, it really helps a lot. I don't know if you guys saw my story recently, but I did a becoming board instead of a vision board. It's kind of like the pre-board to my vision board. It's like, I was thinking about it from the be, do, have mentality, that in order to have all these things that are on my vision board, I have to be and do the things that get me there. And so I wanted to create another board that was like, what are the daily habits that I want to track, that are going to get me to my goal? And so the weekly plan sheet has helped with that because now I've created a little more structure in my day. It's true what we talk about when you are recruiting a new consultant and she's like, oh, I'm so busy. honestly, the busiest consultants are the best consultants because they know how to time manage. And since my day has gotten a lot more flexibility in it, I have not always been the best with having structure in my day, and I'll put things off till tomorrow. And so it's so much easier to have a weekly plan sheet and plan my week. Having a system for tracking your deliveries. You don't have to deliver a product just because the customer ordered it. Maybe you do deliveries on Tuesday and Friday, or you have set days of the week that you choose for that. And so just having the system in place means that when your customer orders, you can say, hey, I'm going to be out making deliveries on Tuesday. Is that okay? Can you reach out to me then? Or no. Or like, what do you need? No, you can't have it. My computer will die. Goodbye. Okay, so when you have, where was I at here? Weekly plan sheet, tracking deliveries. So when you have, if it's going to be a few days until you can make a delivery, you can tell your customer like, hey, I offer free porch pickup. Thanks, Mary. I love that you appreciate that. He just walks right in. Can I take your charger? No, sorry. Okay. So you can let them know I offer free porch pickup. You can come by my house and pick it up, or I can drop it in the mail for you. And then you can decide, whether you want to pay shipping or not pay shipping. Jordan and I had that conversation recently, making that decision about whether you want to charge for shipping or if you're going to offer free shipping, and when that decision is right for you. And it's different for everybody. When I was first starting, and when I have a new consultant come in, I don't always recommend free shipping. Yes, it's really nice when we're shopping to offer free shipping, but it really cuts into your profit for that. So just really being aware of that, maybe even just charging a flat rate fee. I did that for a while where I only charged $5 no matter how heavy it was. So sometimes I ate the cost a little bit, but sometimes I didn't. And it just was a lot easier for me to keep track of. So pick a system that works for you when it comes to deliveries for your customers. Got a couple more here. Having an emergency car kit. I thought this was a fun one that I definitely want to do for next year. I have never been told this in my 4 years of being Mary Kay, but an emergency car kit has extra sales tickets in it, business cards, brochures, a tray and mirror setup, the foil packets for samples, lookbooks, demo applicators, disposable cloths, product bags, basically everything that you would need for a facial, because you guys, we can do facials on the go. It doesn't have to be a whole full-blown appointment. It can be if you're talking to someone and you're like, oh, I've got this great color. I'd love for you to try it. Or I have this sample pack. Do you have time right now? Satin hands is great to have in your car to just wash your hands with somebody. It just opens it up for you to be more apt to spread, like, so what I'm looking for, like when you are prepared for that, then you can just sell on the fly like that. And I know April does things like that. I know she doesn't talk about it on here, but that girl can sell on the fly. She is so good at it. Okay, one more, having hostess packets made up in advance and having team building packets made up in advance. And I know that we have talked about that a lot in the past, but if you already have your packets made up and they're with you all the time, your Black Mary Kay bag that came in your starter kit is so cute for carrying those kinds of things in. And then you've got it right there. You can pull it out. You can talk to them about it. Your hostess packet should have, what your hostess rewards are, a lookbook, maybe some outside ordering sheets, your business card, the 60 guests in 6 minutes. I think all those forms are on the Future Inspired area page, so you can find them there. But if you have those things built, made up in advance, then you can grab them on the fly and not be stressed about what it is or where to find it. So I have a lot more. I'll post them on the page. I need to retype them because I don't like the way some of these are worded, but I will retype it and post it too, because there's a lot of ideas on here. I know, like I said earlier, sometimes we can get really overwhelmed with ideas. So just take what resonates with you. Put the big fat star next to it. Like, oh, that was an idea I really liked. And get out your no rules notebook and just keep track of things that way. And then at the end of the month, you can flip through it and be like, what did I want to do that I didn't do? And implement that month to month too, not just year to year. Okay. And sorry, that was so long. There's a lot of information to pack in there. Does anybody have any questions really quick? No?
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so tonight we have Kenzie is going to do our inspirational close for us.
Hi. So I just kind of did a Google search on some inspirational quotes, and there was one that really resonated with me. I don't know who it's by. It just has a first name of Melanie. So if any of you recognize it, please share with me this person's last name, because I think this is an author and I kind of want to read any books that she might have. But the quote is, "Everyone has a story to tell, a lesson to teach, and wisdom to share. Life is a beautiful masterpiece bound together by your experiences. Open up and share your story. Become an inspiration to others. You can make a difference because you matter. You were created with purpose. Live your life with intention. Go out there and make a difference by being the difference." So I felt like that also goes along with Mary Kay's motto. So that one kind of hit a nerve for me. I really wanted to share that one. I liked it a lot. So if anyone recognizes it, please tell me what her last name is, because all it says on here is Melanie. So I don't know her last name.
Yeah, Mary said maybe Mel Robbins.
Maybe Melanie Robbins. I can try and Google that and see if they relate.
That's awesome. Thank you, Kenzie. That's so beautiful. And I think that's just, we all need to hear that all the time. Great affirmations. Will you post it on the page, on our Future Inspired Area page?
Sure.
Like a picture of it? Okay.
Yeah, I can do that.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you,
thanks.
Denise. Anything else, Denise?
Heidi. No, that was great. Everybody have a wonderful Christmas, but hopefully we'll see most of you here that are local on Thursday night.
Yes. Bye.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Congratulations to everyone.